All right, Don, we're recording. What are we going to be talking about tonight?
Trying to get those hives checked and make sure that you got new queens in them. You're getting brood up. And if you need queens, contact Stephen and be sure to contact him early enough. Ken put a picture up where we went out and caught, I think it was 400 and some queens they caught. And we posted the picture, or Ken posted that picture, and someone made a remark, you can't do that in a short period of time. Well, that's the difference between you catching for a living, in and out. So that's what we're trying to do is teach students how to do this. And we're getting our packages out maybe a little bit early. We got several big orders going out, and we're going to contact people next week and give them the date for the overwinter nukes. And that stuff is going to be going out within the next week to 10 days. It depends on the weather. Like right now, it's raining. I hope we don't lose our signal. And then if you need queen cells to make splits, we need at least 9-10 days advance notice so we can put them on. Right now, we got 1,400 in the incubator right now. And those are going in for packages and stuff that we're shipping out in the next week. So people that are not really into a large operation, maybe 50 queen cells, maybe 100 queen cells, that's their, their capacity. But we got several orders going out there. There's several hundred on each order. And if you get 2 orders go out in a day, today we had 3 orders going out. So we are doing them and we're picking them up as we get them. The older orders coming, we're putting those out. And as far as I know, we're still going to have a cookout, a barbecue, and we're going to have like an introductory to the commercial course and go through a few hives, explain the size of boxes and what they're used for, best way to get from a job to a backyard beekeeper, then to step up to make a living at it. So if anybody's got questions on them, those subjects, and then we also will give some free chats for you to stump me. Got to be related though if you're going to stump me.
All right, I think Pat thinks she's going to stump you. Hold on. Go ahead, Pat.
She's got the technical stuff.
I don't know about that. I missed what you said the date was for barbecue.
You broke up a little bit, Pat. Are you asking when he's going to have the barbecue?
The date?
The barbecue, we're looking to schedule it sometime in May or the last part of April, but more likely it'll be in May. That way the yard will be at 100%.
You going to make the trek over there, Pat?
There's no forecasting what'll happen between now and May.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have a question? Get those hands up.
No one has no problems.
Nope. Everything's fine in everyone's yards, I guess. Melissa, go ahead, Melissa.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Don, I was wondering in a typical 3-pound package, about how many drones are there, or more along the lines of how many virgin queens could properly mate with the drones in one package?
Well, we don't normally count drones in the package.
You don't normally count any of them.
we have been shaken. I think in the last 2 weeks we've shook over, I think about 300 packages. Now most of those packages are either moved a mile to 10 miles away from our yard where we're set up right now. We're shaking packages, and then from the packages we carry them to our queen yards and build our nukes up there. So if you go overwintered and then start shaking, you're going to get a higher percentage of drones, I guess, the first month. But right now, there's probably 90%, 95% workers in there. Unless you put a lot of green comb in there. And right now, we're not running a lot of green comb on our shaken hives, only in our mating yards.
Thank you.
You
Well,
can always put a medium frame, or you can put a shallow frame in between 2 deeps in a deep hive body, And if they're gonna make drones, that's the time you can tell right then.
Okay, thank you. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank everybody who placed orders for packages. We're picking them up on the 9th and delivering them on. And thank you very much, Don, for the opportunity to learn from you and be a part of these chats.
I'm glad to have everybody. I even get it from South Dakota coming over here now.
All right, over to David and Tracy. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, good evening, Don. David and Tracy with Hepawet Farms. How you guys?
Doing good. How about you?
We're doing good over here. Hey, I just had a question tonight about oxalic acid treatment.
Mhm.
Is it necessary to bottle up the hive completely with all the vent holes plugged and the entrances closed? Or should I just let the vapor?
We have never closed the hive up where we did oxalic acid.
Okay, great.
On some of my really old videos, when we did the fogger, I always said, lift the lid up. When you see it coming out of the top, you got good coverage. Same goes true when you're with the oxalic acid. And, you know, if you're running doubles or a double and a half, then add a little bit extra oxalic acid, because as soon as it starts going in the hive, they're going to fan that all around.
Okay, that's helpful. That's going to save a lot of time for us because, you know, if you're trying to plug all your vent holes and your front entrances and then unplugging it afterwards, that really makes you lose a lot of time. So this is a good tip.
Well, time is a big thing in commercial beekeeping. Now, there's people that are drilling a hole in the back of the hive. I personally don't like that. If you do, some people put a golf tee in there. I don't think it's necessary. We just blow it in the front of the entrance. Now,
Okay,
when we had the hand wand, what we was doing, we insert the wand, and then what we would do is put a rag or a t-shirt or something in the entrance. And as soon as it was done vaporizing, usually in about a minute, we would just leave it sit for a while, cool off for another 30 seconds to a half a minute, and then take it out and move it to the next hive. But we're using that ProVap. So as long as you got a student or somebody filling up your caps, you can move. On nukes, we do one every 30 seconds. On a hive, we do one a minute on a full-size hive. But
that's right.
it's preference what you like to do.
Yeah, thanks. And we use the ProVap, and I think it's such a time saver. Works
saves
great,
time.
and you bet it blows it in real quick, and that's working really well for us. And also, I just want to say thanks. Our nuke business is triple what it was last year, and we're still getting orders, and so we're still West Houston, HepawetFarms.com. So anybody needs nukes, we're here. But thanks for the great support, Don.
I'm glad you're doing good.
Okay. All right, over to Linda. Go ahead, Linda.
In the past few chats, you guys have talked about feeding with fructose syrup.
Mhm.
Is that basically corn syrup that you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so like I'm in a very high Mennonite community where they've got these big bulk stores, so I can buy it in bulk. So if I just go buy corn syrup, that's the same thing that you're feeding them?
If it's 55, batch 55, they call it, it's refined a little bit more, and it's a real light pale. It looks like a light beer, but it's thick. It's like stuff you buy in a small jar,
Yeah,
and sometimes you might have to cut it a little bit.
okay, but it's just corn syrup,
Right now,
light corn syrup.
we were shaking bees, and we were shaking, I don't know, half a dozen packages behind the house here. And when you shake a frame, the nectar was just coming out all over the bees, and the buckets were staying half full. So right now they're not even pulling nothing, but each area is going to be a little bit different than what they're bringing in.
Yeah, I haven't started feeding mine yet, and they are doing fine, but I'm just trying to prepare for it.
Yeah.
If they
I
need
would
it.
put a little stimulate on them. That's what we done in January and February, and we're running a 10 frame hives right now that we run are shaken hives. They're double 10s.
Uh-huh.
We're running 8 to 9 frames of solid brood right now.
Okay,
So, but
Okay.
you have to weigh what you want to do to it. A little bit of cost for an additive, or you can make up your own brood builder. We buy it pre-made. It saves the time, and you can just get to business a lot faster.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you, I've been hearing or seeing different things on the internet about people putting pieces of Swiffer pads in their hives to control hive beetles.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about that?
We've done that for a long time. We've even used CD cases. There's a lot of treatments or ways to do that. But on the Swiffer pads, what I would do is put that rough side up.
Okay.
But there's a smooth side and there's a rough side.
Uh-huh.
And then go in there about 7 to 10 days. And if you see a lot of them caught in it, then take it out.
Okay. Replace it with another one.
They work good. It's just a slow, natural way to tangle them up in there.
Yeah.
You know.
So you just kind of cut it into a smaller piece.
No, just the ones that we got, they come in boxes and
Yeah.
like a little square box, and you pull one out, and I guess you put it on a stick with the applicator. We just open it up and spread it. It'll cover, I think, 5 frames wide, and it's about 10
Okay.
inches long.
Okay. And so then as it gets full, you take it out and replace it with a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's the cost is minimal. Then it's more natural. You know, it's
Mhm.
just like putting diatomaceous earth in CD cases, putting them on the bottom board. It works. I mean, everything that I put out there it does work, but you want something super fast, you got to go, to a little bit more of a chemical treatment.
Yeah. Okay.
If
All
you
right. Thanks.
want to be in business, you got to do what is going to save your business.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Linda, I've seen people rough up the Swiffer sheets a little bit so that little hairs stick up, and that's supposed to catch their feet a little
Okay.
bit better.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure. All right, over to Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
Got to turn it on.
You'll get there.
There you
I
go.
was going to tell Linda, I went down and bought some corn syrup from the Mennonites. I didn't have good luck with it. It turned almost crusty. It was real thick. I didn't do anything else with it. Now you kind of play around with it. Get you a small batch before you get any big ones. My bees didn't touch it. Now, I don't know, Don, maybe you have an answer to that, but it come out and it skimmed over just when the air hit it. And I didn't have time to fool with it. I figured maybe it was processed more than that 55 you get from the tanks.
It sounds like it needed to be cut. Now, the best way to do that, are you getting a tote? Wait, did you buy a tote full of it?
No, I just tried. They have it in 5 gallons and 2 gallons. I just tried a bit of it to see what I can do with it before I
don't
go
know
up.
how the system would work on a bucket, but we got totes. And what I got was about a 4-foot piece of 3/4 PVC. And I put some adapters in there. And on the final adapter, I screwed an air chuck fitting in it. And I just put air in it, put the hose to it, and put air in it, and it makes bubbles like you wouldn't believe. And it'll stir it up. It beats electric drill. It beats about anything, and it's cheap. I built mine for, I think, $10, all the fittings and the pipe. And it wouldn't have cost me that if I would have had the glue. But me, I just let my glue sit too long, and I don't use that plumber's glue, and it dried up, so I had to go buy a small little can. That was the most expensive thing. But you want the male end of the air chuck, not the female end. The male end, then when you take the air hose, it's got the female end, you just plug it up, turn your air compressor on it, and it's mixed. It also works good for paint, but wear a mask when you're doing the paint. You'll have polka dots everywhere.
I don't know if they had it more processed, but I'm going to go up to the dance here when I get back from you.
They dance cut a little bit, but they're a lot more expensive than if you buy it by the truckload like we're doing. They probably mark it up about 12 cents or 15 cents a pound.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's within range. I'm going to try a 55-gallon barrel of it, see what happens.
Yeah.
But I did try the other. That's why I was telling her. It just skimmed over, and I didn't try it. I didn't know if it was processed which way.
Yeah.
It says pure, I think, organic corn syrup. I mean, it looked good.
Well, it depends on the age of it and how long it sits. That's another.
Well, that's something we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to, before she spent a lot of money, boy, there's my beekeeper pestering me back there.
He's famous now.
Yeah, he's on. He's wanting me to spend $100 on a suit. You got any cheaper suits?
I'll
That's what-
have to see if I have any left right now.
Well, he's growing so fast, I'm hating to put the money out.
Right.
In 6 months, I'll be buying another one.
Mm-hmm. That's why I stopped carrying the kid suits.
I understand. He keeps going, he'll wear his grandma's suit and I'll be all right.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
All right, over to Melissa. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hey, I wanted to mention that I was thinking about delivering HFCS 55 along my route and just wanted to kind of gauge people's interest if any of my customers or people who haven't ordered packages yet would be interested. You can check out my website, gsbeez.com, or email me or message me. And my friend Evelyn would like to ask a question, Don.
Okay,
Hi, Don.
hi.
My bees this winter, I lost a couple hives, and I know Melissa lost a couple hives where the bees had their heads in their frames. We had sugar boards on, we had the candy boards on, and then we also did the mountain cap. And they didn't even touch any of that. And so I'm wondering, what do you think could have been the problem?
It sounded like you probably went in the winter with mites and the populations dropped a little bit. They didn't have enough heat and they actually didn't move, so they starved. And that's the sign when they got head first in there.
Well,
People
we
say,
didn't have
I
any
don't
mites.
have mites, you know.
We
We treated late in the season and again in the winter for mites with the vapor, with the Provap.
And then when we
Oh.
checked the hives, there were no mites at the bottom of the boards at all.
Well, there was one of my students brought a bunch of stuff for me to melt down. He didn't want the wax and the frames and that. He said he checked his and there was no mites. And I got to looking at it and I got a magnifying glass and I looked. You could see dead mites in some of the cells.
Really?
Right.
Wow.
So, but you know, as far as your the corn syrup, when we sell it here, and Man Lake is the same thing. They're selling a 5-gallon bucket for $60. And if Steven sells it, I think he gets $50 for a bucket. And if you don't have a bucket, he charges $10. So if you don't have your own bucket, so that is some guidelines you might want to look at. But to help people get their own buckets.
Yeah, I was thinking $30 or so. Maybe I discount it for current customers to
If you sell
25
it for
for
$30 a bucket, you'll be either losing money or you're cutting with water.
a 2-gallon bucket, Don, not a
2-gallon.
5.
Oh. Well, we used to sell $10 a gallon, but we used to sell it with brood builder put in it. You know, people don't want to mix up their own brood builder, so you might think that route too. Make up brood builder and put it in there and charge them for the brood builder and the syrup.
Thank you.
He said,
Okay, over to Matt. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Matt. You have to unmute it.
I'm trying to unmute.
There you go.
You
There
hear
you go.
me?
Yep.
All right. My question is, last time you had a chat, we was talking about raising queens and stuff and talking about getting an incubator. So I went ahead and bought me an incubator and I put a few cells in it for a test run and they didn't make it.
Was they ripe?
I had it set on, yeah. I had it set on 91.5 and I got up there and I checked the meter, we got the thermometer and put in there. It was 1 degree off. It was actually 90.2. Was that too low to cause them to die or
No.
what?
Did you candle your cells?
Did I do what?
Candle them. Did you candle them? Or did you graft cells? or
No.
Cut cells.
No, but I grafted.
All right, then did you
Now I
candle the
broke
cells?
No, I did not.
Well,
But now I did tear into them, and they all had bees in them, but
then,
they were dead.
then something between where you pulled them out of the starter hive to where you got to the incubator.
Could they have got chilled enough to done that?
Well, what was the temperature when you transported them? And how did you transport them?
I'm not for sure. I won't think it was like 55, somewhere around 55, around that to
If you
60.
pull them out of a starter hive at 55 degrees, you need your truck running, and then you need a large container, put them in the cells, graph the cells, put them in that and cover them with a warm blanket. Use a heating pad if you have to.
Well, see, it ain't that far. I've got my starter hive here in behind the house, and I just grabbed them and come right in the house with them. And the house is where it's warm.
I don't know. We've
Didn't
left
go
it at
far.
48 degrees and we get 99%, but the truck is running and we have a warm towel and wrap them. So I mean, unless I'm standing there watching, I'm missing something.
Yeah, I'm missing something too. I'm trying to
The
figure out what
The
went
temperature of
on.
your incubator should be fine.
I've got, like I said, my brother, he raises chickens, and I got here. He's got 4 thermometers that when he sets up one of his brooders, he'll put all 4 of them in there to make sure they're all, they're getting a proper reading.
Mhm.
And I've done that with mine. I've got it set now where it's 91.2, I think is what it's set at now.
You put your cells in stands or did you lay them horizontal?
I actually had them in a stand.
It was vertical.
Yeah.
They had to get chilled or there was no good when you put them in there. That's the only thing I could think.
Well,
we handle every single one, especially if we got them sold and they're going out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, these are just for me, and that's the first time I've used an incubator, so I don't know nothing about it there on that part. I'm trying to figure it out, and
Well, if your incubator is preheated, you can take it, if it's a styrofoam one like they sell like at Tractor Supply, get it up to temperature, walk out to your hive if it's 100, 200 yards from you, set it by the next hive, get your cells out, put the frame in there and take them to the house. They won't get chilled.
Well, see, this is a bigger cabinet type. This is one of them. It's 2 foot deep, 3 foot tall, about 20 inches wide. I spent a little extra money and got one that's decent.
Well, that's okay if you're going to get, in big time, but for the size that you're doing right now, that little styrofoam was going to be perfect. Put it on the seat of your pickup truck. You could transport your bees. It does a lot of things.
Yeah, but I'm thinking large scale.
Well, we got a large refrigerator that was a dead refrigerator. It's like maybe a 14 cubic.
Yeah.
There's probably room for 1,500 cells at one shot in there. So, but we're not going to take it out to a bee yard. It sits in the shop and we bring the cells up and put them in the incubator.
Well, like I said, I'm not traveling very far. My hive is probably 50, 60 feet in behind the house. It ain't much of a dash to get to the house.
Put
wouldn't have thought that.
pollen patties on those when your cell builder?
Yes. I've got pollen patties on them, and I've got sugar water on them the whole time they're building.
I don't know. It's the only thing I can think is that they had to get chilled or they wasn't developed right. Unless you had low population.
Well, I've got several bees in there. I'm not for sure. It could be low population.
What are you putting them in? An 8-frame hive, a 5-frame?
8-frame.
8-frame?
It's an 8-frame.
You're going to start cells on a small scale. Use a 5-frame. And you need the equivalent of 3 3-pound packages just to set it up.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to swear they won't fit in there, but if they're not really crowded, they don't make enough heat. The heat has to be high enough in there to get good takes.
Yeah. Well, last year I went with a 5-frame. This year I moved up to an 8, and it's got several bees in it. I'm not for sure, if it's packed like it needs to or not, but I'm adding bees to it all the time, trying to get it denser. I'm not for sure what the problem is, but
well, beekeeping, trial and error, that's basically all you can say. You got to.
But I mean, like I said, I've just started
Yeah.
raising my queens because this is now getting warm enough. That's like Thursday. We got another cold front coming in. It's getting down to 31 degrees.
Mhm.
And that's going to cause problems. But
Well,
it's
there's
been
no
up.
such thing as problems if you're going to get in the business and sell queens.
Oh yeah, I know. I've I've talked to you several times. I've done sold out of hives. I
Yeah.
hadn't filled all of them yet, but I've done sold more than I needed to. I should have said no just a little bit sooner.
Well, I've done a video on that or a chat on that. It's the hardest thing to learn, to say no to customers.
But I've said no on that part. I finally said no, but I pushed the limit a little bit.
Well, your
But
A-frame hive, if you're setting them up in there, you need quite a few bees in there. You should be packed with bees on A-frame solid. We got
Yeah.
A-frame cell builders, and we run an average of 7 frame. No, there's 6 to 7 frames, almost all sealed brood. And then we're adding 2 3-pound packages every time we add another graft.
yeah. Well, see, the way I set this up, it was a double 8, which it wasn't just packed, but it had several bees in it. I dropped it down to a single 8, and then I went and
You should have
found
had better luck when you dropped it.
8 frames of brood and put in the box. And then I waited about, I think it was 7 or 8 days, and then I pulled one of them out that's, it's still completely hatched out, pulled that one out, and I started with my grafts in that slot. And
So is the queen in that hive, or was that a queenless hive?
it's a queenless hive.
Okay.
And like I said, I grafted last year. I had 0 problems last year, but now I've just started, like I said, just starting to graft, and I tried to involve the incubator, and that part was basically a total failure. I don't know if it was anything else I'd done, because I took them out and put them, every one of them in the incubator, and it was a total loss. I'm not for sure if it's something dealing with the incubator. This next run, I'm letting them stay in the hive and pull them out because I'm needing the queens.
Yeah.
And because I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna get about 5 of them out. I grafted 45, checked them a couple of days ago. I didn't really count them, but most of them took that I could see. I think I seen 7 or 8 that didn't take. Most all of them took. And I'm just gonna let them stay in there. And I've got another batch going now. I'm gonna put part of them back in the incubator. I'm just not gonna put very many of them until I get it figured out.
When you pulled your cells, they was completely sealed.
Yes.
How long was they?
I think I pulled them on the 6th day.
No, how long was the cells? See the finger? From the tip of the finger to the first joint, that should be a normal cell.
Yeah, that's
If
about
you
what.
go longer than that, you have a problem. That's a cell builder.
No, there wasn't none of them long. Now there was a couple of them. Most of them was that size. Now I think it was 3 that was shorter,
Mhm.
and they was probably junk. But most of them was about to that first joint. They was actually halfway decent looking cells.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what happened. I don't. It's first time using the incubator. I don't know if there was really something wrong because I didn't put none of them out nowhere else. I put them straight in the incubator.
If you
This
get
round-
a cell builder and you put them in an incubator before you put them in cells in your nukes, get you one of those LED lights, or you can use an incandescent bulb. They used to do it
Yeah.
years ago for chickens, but we have a big LED light, and we just hold the whole frame up there, and you go right down the row. If they're not moving, tap the side of the frame. You'll see that at 9 days, you see that queen moving in there. If they ain't moving, don't cut them and put them in.
Okay. In other words, they could be dead for whatever reason.
They could have got chilled. Yeah. Your incubator could have malfunctioned. I don't know what your incubator does. We run 2 light bulbs in there because if one burns out and you got 1,000 cells in there, they're going to get chilled. So
Well,
we
this
run
is a
2
short.
light bulbs in there, and they run parallel. So if one's out, the other one comes on. It maintains
Yeah.
the temperature.
Well, this is a Georgia quail farm, and it's brand new.
Yeah. Well, new stuff breaks too. I mean,
And like I said, that's why I went and got my brother's thermometers. He uses 4 when he sets up an incubator, puts all 4 of them in there to make sure. And it's going by his thermometers, it's off nearly a 1 whole degree
yeah.
on what it's actually reading. So I bumped it up to where it's running 91.2 on his thermometers. And I think it's on 92.1 to get that. And
I would try
So-
it 2 or 3 times. I mean, it's like riding a bicycle. No one gets on it and rides it the first time. You fall a few
Yeah.
times before you learn.
well, like I said, I'm sort of scared of it now, so I'm not putting many in there till I get it figured out. I'm gonna put 5 or 6 at a time till I figure out what's going on. I just wondered if you had any idea. But the
If I looked
temperature
at
is
the
right.
cells, I could probably tell or look see yourself. It's hard to diagnose something over the phone or a video. It really is.
Yeah. But the temperature is right, right?
The temperature's right. I mean, you could drop down to 88 degrees and it's not going to actually kill them cells. I've
No,
put-
it's still
I've
gonna
pulled
hatch
cells
even
out
at
and
88.
left them on my kitchen table without an incubator, and they hatched out. Some of them
Yeah.
hatched out and walked around the table. So once you get them to that 13th day, 14th day, I've even dropped them on the floor in my truck and they've hatched. They ain't gonna get perfect stuff, but it does happen.
Well, what's the hottest it could get and still hatch?
If it gets about 99 to over 101, I think you're going to have a problem with the bees dying in the incubator, the cells.
So in other words, it's got that big a variation it can be in.
Yeah. Mhm. They're not delicate as what people thought they are.
Okay. So in other words, I may have problems somewhere else and not the incubator.
It's hard to say. It's hard to put your finger on it without seeing the whole situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, like I said, I'll figure it out. I just need to know if it's my incubator or somewhere else.
yeah.
Oh, but that's okay. If it's that big a variation, it's not the incubator.
I wouldn't think
So I got it chilled somewhere between here and there or something. And
either that or you didn't have good cells. That's why I would have handled, but make sure they was alive when you put them in the incubator.
yeah. Well, I ain't never tried that. I'll try that on the next batch that comes out. Candle. I use just it's good looking sale. I just put it in the box. You know,
You waste time that way if it don't hatch on you.
yeah, that's true. I usually don't have a lot of time. No way. That's just part of the problem. I've got about 40 sales that's going to come out Monday. I usually don't graft them until they'll come out on Saturday. But since that batch went bad, I'm needing queens. So I grafted as soon as I found out it's going to come out, and they're going to come out Monday. And I'm going to work 10 hours and have to come in and make 30 splits. But if I don't, whatever I don't get, I'm just going to stick in the incubator if I can't get them in the box.
Put cell protectors over and then let them hatch in the incubator. Then you can use them.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let them hatch in the incubator.
Make sure you have
And,
cell protectors.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've got some more ordered. I was going to put cell protectors on them and put them on top of the cage and let them just go straight in the cage.
Make your cell protectors, save you some money.
Yeah. You can make them out of wire, can't you?
I did a little video on making them. They ain't hard.
Yeah. Well, I made some. I just didn't, since I've never done that, I don't feel comfortable sticking that sail in that wire. I'm afraid a wire
You
might
push the
have
wire around it. But I'll tell you a little trick that, on a small scale, it works perfect. No investment. Do you take any kind of pills, vitamins, or does your wife take vitamins or any kind of pills?
Yeah.
Get a small pill bottle and drill a bunch of 1/8 inch holes around it, at least 8 or 10. Put your cell in there, stand it up. Put a drop of honey in the bottom. Got the best cell protector you get. Didn't cost you a dime.
Yeah. Well, that'd work unless you got a bunch of them.
Well, a lot of people have a lot of bottles out around the house.
Well, that's true too.
It's
Oh,
just another way to save a dime.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as going large scale. I'm still small, but I'm pushing toward large scale. And so I'm pushing the limit on everything. I've just got to get all the bugs worked out. And like I said, I'm trying to go large scale, not to your caliber, but still.
You gotta start somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta start and, get correct your mistakes as you go. You'll grow. If
Yeah.
you're not
That's
growing, you're dying.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, I talked to you, earlier this year and telling you I was scared, worried to death because I wasn't selling nothing, all that. And you said, oh, if you got a bee, they'll sell. Well, I'm sold out of hives, as many hives as I want to possibly sell right now. But now my queens ain't selling real good, but that's
Well,
probably a good thing. So I ain't got all that
Weather
worked out.
warms up, that phone won't stop ringing.
Yeah.
You'll be like me. You'll leave the phone at home when you go out in the bee yard.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm selling virgin queens, and I've had several people call and wanting virgin queens because I'm selling them cheaper.
How much cheaper are you selling them?
Well, I'm actually selling virgin queens for $15.
That's what we sell them for, but you're better off to sell a mated queen, and you got to explain to the customer these are virgin queens, because they're going to come back and say my queen flew out and didn't come back.
Well, that's what I
does.
tell them. That's what I'm telling them. I said, there's no guarantee, because when you get it, it's flying back. A bird may eat it, or just not come back for whatever reason. But people are trying to be cheap and trying to get something for less money, and you're taking a risk. I'm explaining all that.
Keep
And
working on it. You'll get it.
All right, we have other questions. We'll come back to you, Matt, if you have other questions, okay?
okay.
All right, over to Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, Don, you hear us?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hey, we're going to be coming down to get some packages from you. And we had a question. Would it be better to have one end of an apiary where you put all the packages, or should we kind of potpourri them out throughout our hive stands when we install them?
Well, I actually did a video on it. I run like those trusses, and usually they're 8 foot, 10 foot. And if you're running them on there, I won't put one packaging one and skip a truss, go down the row a little bit, space them out, or space your timing out.
Okay.
If you're going to put a lot of packages in one time, another thing is to get a spray bottle, or we use a large Coca-Cola bottle, and we just put a nail hole in it and just thin the syrup down and really give them a good dousing. You're not going to drown them. And when you dump them in, they're going to stay a lot better than if you just missed them.
Okay.
Well, you was out there when we set a queen yard up, and you seen how we we drowned the bees.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have a 10-frame box with a screen on there, and we soak them down and we put them in the box so they stay. But there's people that tell you just missed them light, and there's a difference between playing and making a living at it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The other, I got a question on mite treatments. We've been doing oxalic acid a lot, and we haven't had any troubles yet. Watching other things or whatever, talking to people, and I've seen over with when we go through boxes and stuff over at your yard. I think you had to use some Aprivar a few years ago or whatever. But this last year, there's been some commercial beekeepers saying they're not having much luck, or that something had changed with it. Have you noticed any problems or with Aprivar at all? Or?
We used it basically 1 year, and we went back to oxalic acid because the cost is so much cheaper.
Yes.
I think we paid, and it's probably a year or 2 years, I'm thinking $140 for a bulk pack of 50. Versus if we would have done it with a pound of oxalic acid for $10, we could have done, probably 400 hives at least.
Yep.
I mean, so you just got to compare, and then listening to other people, draw the line. Do they make a living, or are they just experimenters? Do what works. And if you got good luck with the oxalic acid,
oh yeah,
with what's working. Even if you do it
they're also talking. Yes. And then they were talking about upping the dosage as well as different studies going on the oxalic acid. They're finding out that maybe it's a longer burn, and I'm not sure if they're using a Pro Vape or what they're using, but they're just talking about getting more quantity of the oxalic acid in the box, seems to do a lot better. But so far, we've been just treating the way it says on the probate, but
You got to kind of look at what they're talking about and kind of dissect it. You know, I've mentioned that I use the scoop that comes with the ProVap. I use a scoop and a half for a double D. I mean, if you have no problem, one scoop is enough. And then it depends on how often you do it.
okay.
You know, I don't think you're going to overdose it. Now, if you have an extreme mite problem, you might want to take and use a dribble method, but I don't prefer that. If I was going to do it an emergency, I believe I'd get a garden sprayer, and on a fine mist, I'd mix it up, have Victor open the hive up and just come across all the frames and move on with a fast mist and leave it as that. Because the drawback on the oxalic dribble is if you get it on the queen, you're going to lose a queen. With that mist, the way I just described it, is the less risk, but it's not my preferred method.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Got any questions? Victor's good, I guess. Thanks, Don.
All right.
Okay, over to Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Everybody, this is my first chat. I want to say it's nice to see everybody. I feel like I'm talking to movie stars right now. I've seen y'all on my screen so much. I was just down in the South Yard today with Don, learned a lot. We put together some packages. It was my first time doing that, and I was able to can some of the syrup. By hand, they don't have some big machine. He's got students, like you said, in the book. But I'm from B4 Apiary. Be selling new packages and horse. And I have picked stop Woodstock and Gainesville, but I just wanted to say hi for now. And I'll let it.
Okay, you were breaking up a little bit, Ken, so I think we heard you. All right, Greg, you have an update for us on your feeding and stuff? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's here in Ohio. I just got back from a trip down in Tennessee, and I don't know why in the world I'm still living in Ohio. My wife has been at me to move somewhere nicer. And I was down there and everything, I mean, it's crazy to visit different parts of the country during prime time spring. I was down there and you had literally everything: the crab apples, the pears, the red buds, the forsythias, clovers, everything all at once was coming on. And it just seemed like a bee wonderland. Me and my son, we make our way back up to Ohio, and it's just, we finally get back up to our neck of the woods, and the maples are just starting to turn burgundy at the tips. And it's just like, oh my gosh, you get down there and you get excited. And up here in Ohio, everything takes a little bit longer. It's a slower thing. The forsythia blooms, and old timers up here say 3 snows after the forsythia blooms. So it's usually been right on. So we'll have another, at least 2 frosts, maybe 3 before anything really starts to get going. But we're starting to get some temperatures that are, today was real nice. I just got back from that trip and the kids were all outside running around. It was like almost near 70. It's going to get a little cooler off here, but it's time to get back to feeding again. And so we've been kind of, getting the feeding kind of shored up, flirting around with using fructose again, also some Pro Sweet. And then I'm going to probably try to do a little bit of some experiments this year, and just kind of see what kind of results I get using some different feed options, some thinner syrup versus thicker for some different goals, and see if there actually is any kind of difference and what that may do or not do in the yard. But those bucket feeders sure come in handy for me this time of year, because when it does drop off and get too cold, I can just flip that bucket upside down. I don't have to worry about putting too much feed or too much cool feed on there in the hives. I know we're getting a lot of orders in for plugs, and we're just about done taking orders for packages and nukes. So if you're on the chat and you supported Nature's Image Farm, we just want to say thanks. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow our small family apiary to get it to the point to where it is a full-time endeavor at the bee yard. We're a small outfit, and you guys' support really does make all the difference. But all the folks that have bought packages for both routes, thank you for that. We're just about sold out of nukes for our local pickup and delivery here in Ohio. And again, thanks, Don, for all the mentorship and all the help that you've given us. Don and Stephen both are always sending folks our ways for bees, for plugs. If they just have questions, we're always happy to help. So I appreciate Don, what you guys do for all of us to help us get on a good start too. So if anyone is interested in anything that we have left for the rest of the year, we're shipping out plugs the rest of the year, feeder plugs. And we're just about sold out for bees. I think I might have mentioned at the last chat, but we are not shipping queens at all this year. It's going to be local pickup only. We're going to focus on our local folks and make sure we are building those close-knit relationships. We had some pretty poor luck with shipping and getting any kind of insurance claim. So at our scale, we just can't afford to take those kind of losses. And I don't want that kind of reputation right now. If we were making 300 or 400 queens a week and I could just easily dip in and cover that, it wouldn't be a big deal, but we don't make those kind of numbers. So, but anyways, I just got off the road, so my brain's a little bit foggy and I'll just keep rambling. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. We really do appreciate you. If you need anything from us, you can always visit us at naturesimagefarm.com. And we look forward to seeing all of you guys on the route here in just a few weeks. So thank you.
Did Cayman remember me?
I don't know. We didn't really get to talking about that, but we did spend a lot of time going talking to him about his journey and his story and dipping boxes. And he's got a lot of cool things going on in Tennessee. I had a real good time with Cayman Reynolds and recorded a lot of good footage, and looking forward to getting that out soon. And you guys can see that at naturesimagefarm.com and all.
All right, look forward to seeing that, Greg. Thanks. All right, back to Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
Got me?
Yep.
My question is, I've started bucket feeding this year and got a little problem with raccoons. Any suggestions? Do what?
Are you selling them?
Well, I need to. They're knocking my buckets off, pulling the plugs out, and drinking the syrup.
You got to put sugar syrup in there, not moonshine now.
I guess. I didn't figure they could pull the plugs out, but they're actually pulling the plugs out of the bucket.
We had a few in ours, and the only thing that I know you can do, Stephen put some live traps there, and believe it or not, the one that he caught was a big one, and it liked honey buns. He put a fresh honey bun in there and caught it the next day.
Well, I've been putting a live trap out and putting marshmallows. They like marshmallows.
Try
I've done
honey bun or sardines. We call it skunk and sardines.
Yeah. Well, I've done caught 4 raccoons and a possum. And they're still knocking my buckets off.
Get you some guinea hens.
I need to do something. But no suggestions on how to get the raccoon to not come around?
Well, you can sit out there and watch for them, let them up. If you want to do like Stephen, he don't like to shoot those raccoons, so he takes them down the road about 5 miles, and I told him, they're going to be back in the bee yard before you get home.
That's probably about right, but
that's all
I don't
can
know.
say on that.
Because one of them, they knocked the bucket off right before a good rainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Water goes right down the middle of the hive.
Right.
So I don't know. I started strapping the buckets down, but they still knocked one of them out from underneath the strap. So I don't know.
They'll find a way.
All right, that was just my question. I just wonder if y'all had any thoughts on that.
All right.
Okay.
I want to thank Josh. He helped us out. I'm not very computer smart, and he walked me through how to get E back on the thing here. Somehow he must have pushed the wrong button. They got locked up.
Kicked off the wrong people. That's what I did.
Okay. I didn't say that.
Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, for the raccoons and stuff, carpet tack strips. you know, you put down around the edge of your floor and hook the carpet onto. You can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot, any of those big box home repair places. And you can buy strips and cut them and put them on the top of your box around your bucket. When they get up there and their paws get on them little tacks that stick up, they won't come back. And if you've got a bigger problem, put down nail boards around your apiary, but the tack strips on your hives will put an end to those guys. Carpet tack strips. That's it.
All right, thanks, Pat. I think Greg has something to add about the coons too. You got a good recipe, Greg, or?
Salt, pepper, garlic powder.
Yeah.
About 160 I would go on those rascals. You never know where they come from. But hey, Matt, I was wondering, are your hives on stands or are they on the ground?
They're on stands.
They're on the stands. Are you only having that problem during like fall, or is this year round?
I just started using the buckets this year, and I'm having that problem right now.
Yeah. I don't wonder if that problem, well, you know, they're big time opportunists. So if they know it's there, they're going to keep coming back. So that could be an issue for you. I was curious at how high off the ground that they are. We just had, when I was, we literally, just this week, we were dipping boxes and that tornado came through Tennessee and we hightailed it to Cayman's basement and just barely missed it. When we left there, the skies were green and orange. And I had just brought him some buckets. Well, I talked to my wife later on, and I've got buckets that are stacked up, and it's because of I haven't had time to clean them up. I just looked when I got home. There's buckets that are 6 buckets tall, stacked up on top of hives in the yard still. And we had 60-mile-an-hour winds come through here, and for some reason those buckets don't come off. So leave it to the raccoons to cause all the problem. Where the things that you would normally worry about, like high winds and storms and things, to knock those off, it seems like that's never a problem. But I'm not sure what to do about that. The tack strip, that's always a good idea. But you know, God forbid you're out there in your underwear and Crocs, you know, enjoying the nice summer weather, working your hives there, and you forget about them tack strips. That could be a little uncomfortable. But I guess you could strap them down. There's no amount of bricks you're going to put on top of them things to keep raccoons off. I guess if you want to get a hold of me, how should I say this? I think we all have certain ways of dealing with varmints. There's some things that can be done, and I'd rather not give you that recommendation over the interwebs here. But if you want to give me a call, I can tell you what folks out here do to keep their chickens safe, and maybe you might find that valuable too. And it doesn't even require a shot fired.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Greg. And over to Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Can y'all hear me better this time?
So far, so good.
Okay, just wanted to say real quick on the raccoons. One of the things that I practice is integrated pest management. You can look that up for safe ways for taking care of your garden that doesn't kill bees. It takes care of pests and varmints. But for raccoons and possums and such, it's not 100% effective, but you can get a motion activated sprinkler and you set 2 or 3 of them up in your yard. Not to where they're going to spray the hives, of course, but you kind of think of it like an automated turret in a video game. Whenever one comes out, it hits that, it starts spraying and it scares them away. I've had real good use for that, keeping a possum out of my yard, keeping some rabbits from coming in and chewing up my garden. So it's one option to try to look into. Maybe you'll maybe it'll help. But if you have any kind of a pest problem, or if you have a big gardener or farmer around and they start having pest problems, tell them to look into integrated pest management practices using beneficial insects to take care of pests instead of chemicals. It can go a long way towards saving a whole lot of bees. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ken. And Pat, did you have a comment too?
Leon wants to see the video of Greg in boots and underwear taking care of his bees. Crocs, was it Crocs and underwear? Yeah.
Well, there's
We
Don's
might
Gentle
make some
Bees,
money.
right? So that's totally possible.
Hey, on a hot day, who knows? Might get banned from Facebook from that one. That's all.
Okay, if there's no more questions for tonight, it's 9 o'clock right now. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone, and stay out of them jails now.
No promises.